So in this video, we're going to look at section 5.3, solving percent problems using R times B time equals A. Again, this is on the notes that I gave you in class. The first part of it looks like this, section 5.1%. So we're looking on the back of that page where it says section 5.3, solving percent problems. So we want to solve percent problems. We want to find like 55% of 900. Or 40 is what percent of 60. And so there's multiple ways to do this, but the way that your textbook focus is doing on it is they use an equation A equals R times B. And this is called the basic equation for solving percent problems. Okay, and R represents the percent in decimal or fraction form, and we mostly will do decimal form. So it means we're dividing the percent by 100 to change it out of percent form. And so this equation, if we use it, helps us to figure out whether we multiply or divide when we're taking percents of numbers. So the three parts are R is the rate or the percentage as a decimal. Right, and again, rate is the same thing as the percent. B stands for the base. And that is the number we are finding the percent of. And then A is, they call it amount. And that's a part of the base. So some key things, the base, the B, usually follows the word of. And amount often, A follows the word is. So again, you might need to pause to be able to keep writing that, but this is kind of the basics of the formula. And I'm gonna skip, if this is at the very bottom, but this will help us doing these kind of keywords of, if we remember from our 2.6 section of translating, of means to multiply. And any time we say is means equals. And so if we're translating our sentences into this equation, this kind of helps us to remember the order that we're doing and helps us figure out which is B and which is A. So again, when it says of a number, that's usually B. So B is that number. Okay, and if it says is something, is that, it represents our A, whatever that is. So there's three main ways to set up this equation. Okay? So again, we're going to use this equation, rate times base equals amount. And we want to find the amount given the base and the percent. So what that looks like what is 55% of 900? So whenever we're doing this and we're taking the percent of a number, we're always doing kind of the rate times the base and we're multiplying them. So the percentage is always easy, and that's always the rate. But again, you always have to change it out of a percentage by either moving the decimal or dividing by 100. And that gives us 0.55. So my rate is 0.55. If we follow the word of, that represents my base. And that's what we're finding the percent of. So my base is 900. We're finding the percent of 900. And then I'm trying to find the amount. So we say A equals, we do the rate, the percent, times the base. And then again, you will need calculators for the section. So we're gonna multiply 0.55 times 900 and we get 495. So 55% of 900 is 495. And pretty much anytime we're taking the percent of a number, we're multiplying those two together. So that is our first type. The second type is we're trying to find the base given the percent and the amount. So it looks something like this, where it says 33% of what number is 120. So again, 33% is my R, the percentage is always my R, but again, we always have to change it out of percent form by either, again, moving the decimal to the left or dividing by 100, which gives us 0.33. So then it says of what number? So remember, whatever we're taking the percent of, that's always our B. And so in this case, I don't know B. So you can either use the letter B or you can say X because I don't know it. And then it says is 120, okay? And so my amount is 120. This is part of the percent. And so usually the number following is our A. And then we can write our equation again, R times B equals A, and plug in what we know. So my rate is 0.33. My B is X, and we're multiplying, equals my A is 120. And then if we have this equation, we can just solve it. Okay, we have 0.33 times X. Anytime we have a number in front of X, we divide by that because we're using the inverse of multiplication. And then we get X equals 120 divided by 0.33. Okay, and this again gives me a long decimal. So when you divide it, we're going to do 2 decimal places and then it's 64. And so 33% of 363.64 would give me 120. And so in this case, when I'm given the percent and the amount, which is again part of the percent, we actually always divide that amount by the percentage. But this formula helps us figure out, do we multiply or divide, and not have to guess if we're supposed to multiply or divide. Okay, the third type is find the percent or the rate given the base and the amount. So in this case, I don't have the percent, I want it. And so it looks like this. What percent of 30 is 6? So for this, I am looking for the percent. So I don't know the rate. Again, I can call that X, or you can just say R. Of 30, the number following of is always the base. That's like the whole part. And then the number following is always my A, which is my amount. So 30 is my B, 6 is my amount. And then we use that formula, R times B equals A. So I have X times 30 equals 6. And then again, we don't usually like to write it like this. X times 30 is just 30x equals 6. We usually like to put the number first, and then we solve it by doing the inverse. So we divide both sides by 30. And then we are going to get a decimal for these. So again, divide it, 6 divided by 30 is 0.2. And we have to change it to a percent. So again, our last step for these is always to change it to a percent. We need to multiply by 100. And so it is 20% is the rate. So those are the 3 types. We have finding the percent, finding the base, and finding the amount. And so what you could do is you could try these 3 examples, and I'm going to do like a second video to explain how to do those examples that you can check after trying them.